Evangelicalism is a global South phenomenon. And even though it began in the Anglosphere a few centuries ago, it is no longer the case. And in fact, it has not been the case since probably sometime around 1979, 1980. Now, I'm unfortunately old enough to think that 1980 was just a few years ago, but the reality is that that was 45 years ago. Could you click forward once, Mark? Because it's important for us to remember that in the world today, the median age of the human population is just under 31 years old. So what that means is that nearly 70% of the world's population has been born into a world where evangelicalism is a global South movement. And that's really essential to note. This is not something that happened last year or 5 years ago, or even 25 years ago. For the entire existence of most people alive today, evangelicalism has been a global South majority. So thanks, you can take the slide off. And when we talk about the diversity of evangelicalism, because of its global nature, what that means is that evangelicals are certain things. There's that family resemblance that Gina just mentioned. It also means that evangelicals are not certain specific things. So evangelicals are not, or at least not primarily, white, Western, English speaking, male, older, or conservative for that matter. Although, again, they emerged from Wesleyan revivals and the Great Awakening, which, by the way, was profoundly involved in social activism, in the abolition movement, the support for women preachers, ministering to the poor. It was actually 30 years ago that the theologian Millard Erickson was writing in his own short book called The Evangelical Left about post-conservative evangelicalism. So that's not some outcome of the deconstruction that we see happening in the last 3 or 4 years. That's something that scholars were writing about in the previous millennium. And so this is something that we have to recognize, that all of the characteristics that perhaps outsiders tend to label the evangelical movements with, they are demonstrably not the case. They maybe were the case a lifetime ago, but they are certainly no longer primarily the case anymore. And I think that's something to celebrate. We know that the body of Christ is incredibly diverse. It's the most diverse subset of humanity probably in existence. And evangelicalism is equally representative in its geographic diversity, in some of its theological diversity, in its ethnic diversity, in its orthopraxy as well. So I think that is a thing to celebrate, and I embrace it with great enthusiasm.
My hope and dream is that we would really welcome the diversity that we are talking about. I think we talk a lot about diversity, but then when it comes down to it, we let theology and ideology get in the way of relationships. And I've seen this over and over again in Christianity within my own country, Christianity worldwide, that we let what we believe get in the way of relationship with each other. And we let, the way we practice the faith get in the way with relationship with each other. And really my hope and dream is that world Christianity really would be united in faith in Jesus Christ, no matter how that faith looks on the ground, and that we can be in relationship with each other despite differences of history and politics and theology and biblical interpretation and all of these things. It seems like kind of a low bar. Like essentially, I'm just saying, can we all just get along? But I think we need it more and more today. So that's my hope. But one thing I'd like you to remember is that global evangelicalism, however defined, is more diverse than you think it is. And yet, we can all find our place in it. No matter what you look like or what you believe, you can find your place in it. And I think that's its strength, not its weakness.